How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another SUPboarder video. This video is going to be all about the Aztron foil collection. We're going to give you a full rundown of the new foils for 2023, helping you understand if this cheaper to mid price point foil brand is a brand that you should be looking into to get yourself maybe into SUP surf foiling, wing foiling, or progress to that next level in those disciplines as well. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, that's definitely worth a subscription. There's loads of videos that go on there every week. If you want to save yourself some money and buy the correct kit for you, or learn the best technique in your chosen discipline. Okay, so this is the third video we've done with the Aztron wing or foil range. We've already covered the wings and we've already covered the foil boards. Now it's all about the foils, what's going on underneath the water. Definitely a lot of you have already got into the sport with those wing and board packages, but also the foils individually as well. When they first came out back in 2022, they weren't the most performing foils. They were a little bit slower than a lot of other foils in the market. Maybe the way they were finished wasn't as good as some other foils on the market, but they did get a lot of you on the water. They were very competitive prices and they were very, very easy to use, especially if you were getting into the wing foiling side of the sport. This year they've added to that collection. You've got a bigger range of foils and they've also changed some of the fittings and the way that the foils are actually fixed together. The great thing about the Aztron range of foils is it's very easy to understand compared to many other brands, which can get quite complicated because there isn't that many foils to choose from. You've got the standard Rocket range of foils, which consists of a 2000 and a 1650, and you have the Rocket H range, or the high aspect ratio range, and that consists of a 1800 or a 1450. So let's talk straight away, what's the difference between the standard Rocket range, the bluey greeny graphics ones, opposed to the H range. Now the Rocket shape of foils, we believe, is the same shape as the original Rocket foils that they had. So they still give you a good amount of surface area. They're fairly deep in their profile, and there's also quite a lot of chord length there, which is basically the measurement from the front of the front foil wing, not the whole foil, just the actual front wing itself. The more chord length you have there, the more stability you're going to have in that foil. It's not going to make the foil as fast to fly through the water, but it is going to allow you to have that nice, stable, relaxed feel when you're flying. And that is why so many of you have got into the sport of wing foiling and SUP foiling with these bigger Rocket foils. They allow you to get up in lighter winds or on smaller waves. They don't require as much speed to go across the foil, and therefore you'll also stay flying at slower speeds as well, which is really what you want when you first get into the foiling disciplines. You don't want everything to happen as quick as possible. You want to slow it down to give yourself as much time as possible to understand what the hell is going on under your board. Just like last year's range of Rocket foils, they've still got a really nice big size of stabilizer. Both the 2000 and the 1650 comes with a 450 centimeter squared rear stabilizer. The bigger rear stabilizer you have, the more stable it's going to feel when you're flying, but it will slow your top speed down. So again, that's a compromise between speed and stability. For so many people, the 1650, which is the one I have here, is a really popular size to get into the foiling disciplines. They haven't changed the wing at the front or the stabilizer wing shape. They have given it a new graphic. It's still a carbon foil, so it's still a relatively light foil. The biggest change this year is how that the front wing is bolted onto the main fuselage. The fuselage used to go into the front wing, but now the front wing is set underneath the fuselage and then it's bolted in at the bottom. They're marketed as a 78 centimeter on the website and on the brochure, that actually it's a 70 fuselage if you measure it from the front of the fuselage to the front of the rear stabilizer. 70 centimeter is a good average all-round size. The smaller you go, the better it's going to be for pumping and turning fast, but the harder it's going to be to get up and ride. Looking at the 2000 or the 1650, the 2000 is the bigger one, 2000 square centimeters of area. If you're looking at what sort of rider would suit each one of those foils, well, if you're under 80 kg, definitely the 2000 is going to be your super light wind weapon, and for riding really small waves. It could be a very good beginner foil to get you up and riding, but you find you're going to be powered up or overpowered on that foil much earlier. So lighter people, super light winds, very small waves on the 2000. If you're more than 80 kg, it's going to be a really good all-round wing for you to get a lot of beginner wing foiling and foiling out of it. So you can still catch medium-sized waves, you're still going to be able to get up in lighter winds, but it's going to allow you to ride in much more winds because you're obviously going to have more weight that you can sit on that foil and keep it down in the water. Looking at the 1650, if you're sub 80 kilos, it's probably going to be your go-to foil for a lot of winging, to be honest, because it's going to give you a nice wind window or speed window to use that foil in. So from small surf to medium-sized surf, from lighter winds with your wing to fairly windy conditions with your wing as well. Ability-wise, it's the same for both these wings. Really great first-time entry level into any foiling discipline. SUP surf foiling or wing foiling, very easy and stable to use. Looking at the prices of these wings and what you get as a full complete package, the 2000 front wing comes as standard with a 450 tail stabilizer, a 70 centimeter aluminium mast, and that new 70 centimeter or 78 centimeter, as written in the catalogue, aluminium fuselage. And that one retails at £749 or $769 or euros. The 1650 comes with the same setup as the 2000, 450 tail wing, 70 centimeter main mast, 70 centimeter fuselage. That one retails at £649, $689 or euros. So that's your rocket range of foils. Really, we would recommend you looking towards those if you haven't done any foiling before. You might think you might be able to fast track and move on to maybe something like the H range, which we're going to speak about now, but in the long term, you will become a better foiler quicker if you actually go down a more of a beginner-based foil to start with. Moving away from that, let's look at the H range. Now, what is the H range? What's the difference? Why is it there? The H range, it basically stands for high aspect ratio. It's more high aspect ratio. So if you're looking at the chord length of this foil compared to the rocket range, you'll notice it's much narrower. There's not as much width in that chord. That, coupled with the depth of the foil, which isn't actually very much at all compared to the rocket range, that's going to make your foil faster to actually go through the water. It's going to make its flying speeds much higher than the rocket foil, but it's going to be harder to use because you've got less profile, especially in here in the depth. The foil is going to be much more twitchy in its up and down movement. So looking at these more highest ratio foils in any brand is going to be harder to wing or SUP foil with. There's no doubt. You've got to know how your foil works under your feet. We've said this so many times. If you know how your foil works, you know how to pump and get your foil up, these sort of foils will offer you that higher speed, that more maneuverable foil under your feet. So these foils have been tweaked for this year. This one here, the 1450, is a completely new foil shape itself. The sort of conditions that the H range of foils is going to work best in, it's not in massively different conditions compared to the rocket range. You're still going to get up in light winds, especially with the bigger 1800. You're still going to be able to use it in small surf, but like I said, it's going to require that more understanding of how that foil works to be able to get up and get up comfortably with the H range. If you're a rider of up to 80 kg, if you're jumping on the 1800, that is going to be a very good light wind, small wave wing to get you up on the foil. Looking at the 1450, that's going to be your one foil that does all of your wing foiling disciplines. If you just want to own one foil and just go out and have a load of fun a lot of the time, and you're in that 75, 70, 65, 80 kg, that 1450 is going to be the golden foil for you. Looking at those two foils, if you're plus 80 kg, the 1800 is obviously going to get you up as early as wind as possible or as small waves as possible. Then the 1400 is going to be your fast, high wind weapon, and you're going to be able to hold on to that in quite a lot of wind, on quite fast waves, because you're going to have the body weight to hold it down. If you've got a good understanding riding on the foil and you jump on one of these rockets and then you jump on one of the H range of foils, the big difference is you're going to notice is top end speed is way quicker on the H range. The maneuverability is going to be tighter on the H range, but also the way that you can pump that foil. So if you wanted to get into SUP downwinding, prone downwinding, you wanted to really link up bumps when you're out SUP surf foiling, you're going to be looking towards the H range. Looking at what you get as standard with the packages of the 1800 and the 1450. The 1800, you get a 310H rear stabilizer. You get the same 70 centimeter aluminium mast and the same 78 centimeter aluminium fuselage, which, remember, when we measured it, came out as 70 centimeters. That one retails at £699 or $749 or euros. Looking at the 1450H, now this is actually a very different package you get from any other of the foils. You get a 320H tail stabilizer. This one you get a 60 centimeter aluminium mast, and you get the 60 centimeter aluminium fuselage. Now the 1450 is actually a wing that really stands on its own, maybe because of the tail wing and the shorter fuselage, but it's a really nice, lively wing that is punching well above its weight when it comes to the feel of it on the water compared to wings that are way more expensive. It definitely was one of the standout wings for us as that more improver, higher level rider. The 1800H has still got that similar feel, but the 1450 has jumped up a few grades in its liveliness. Definitely that's to do with the shorter fuselage. I'm now going to slip into a few cons or things you need to be aware of the Aztron range. A few of the cons are going to be around this 1450, unfortunately, because this is a really comfortable and good foil. A few things that you need to be aware of. It comes as standard with a package with a 600mm or a 60 centimeter mast. Now, for a lot of you out there, you're probably wanting to be having a 70 centimeter mast or even an 80 centimeter mast if you're riding at that slightly higher level, unless you're going to be using it in shallower waters. So I think it would probably well worth you trying to swap that mast over. The Aztron range does have a lot of other sizes and you can buy them at very good affordable price points, but definitely be aware you're probably going to want to switch that over or upgrade to a longer mast. And there's one thing that we're a little bit cautious about, and that is the length of the bolts that secure the front wing on. So here you can see the 3 M8 bolts that are in place to fit onto the fuselage. The front bolt really doesn't stick out very much because the front of the fuselage is nicely pulled in, so they obviously can't get much thread in there, but it does just look like you're not really getting as much security as you would need out of a foil like this. Now, to be fair, this wasn't a problem when we were riding and it didn't twist and move very much and we didn't have the bolts come undone. So it was just an observation that we weren't quite 100% sure when we first saw it. So definitely if you own this, I'd be putting a bit of Loctite on this front bolt, just keeping an eye on it. I don't think your bolts are going to go anywhere and they're M8 fairly chunky bolts, but it's definitely an observation. So this fuselage only fits on this 1450. You can't put any of the other fuselages on there. It is a bit of a shame that you can't change that fuselage and have the same sort of fuselage in all the other wings. They've obviously done it from an engineering point of view and there's certain things they can't do, but having the ability to only have that fuselage on that 1450 is a little bit of a drawback. When we actually measured the length of the fuselage, it did actually come out as 63 centimeters or 630 millimeters, so it's a little bit longer than their stated 60 centimeters. Looking at the fuselage that comes with the other 1800H or the rocket foils, you're going to notice there is a black section here that sticks out back behind the tail. But we think it would be great to have an extra bolt threaded hole at the back of the fuselage so you can move this whole stabilizer back again a little bit more. Many of you may not use it because you might find the 70 centimeter fuselage long enough, but if you're getting into foiling and you can drop it back again even more, you're going to make your foil even more stable. So really, I think Aztron are missing a trick there, not adding an extra bolt hole. All the bolt heads are Allen keys, which are not one of our personal favorites, but they do the job. And the finish of the foils does look pretty good, but you will find that the paint will scratch off of the blue. You're not going to notice it so much on the H range of foils because it's much darker, but it is a good pre-preg foil underneath that. finishing off with a summary look of the Aztron foil collection for 2023. The really great thing that they've done this year is the same as what they did in the previous years. They haven't overcomplicated the aspect of foiling. They've given you 4 foils that are still very comfortable and easy to use at the level they're designed for. The rocket foils are definitely, without a doubt, some of the easiest foils I've got on and got other people up and foiling with. The big stabilizers do make it very easy, and the foils itself are fairly well priced to get you on the water for a first time foiler. The H range, whether it be the 1800 or the 1450, is going to be a really good natural step up from somebody who's come away from the rocket range. If you've been foiling for a season, you know how your foil works under your feet. You want that faster foil that's going to give you more response and maybe get you into linking bumps, riding waves. Then the H range is going to be a really good and easy progression onto. So the real big word for that is easy again. They are comfortable foils that are going to give you a nice progression from something like a rocket. Many other brands have got better, more performance, faster turning, more easier to pumping foils in the market. There are better foils for that, no doubt, but they are a lot harder to use and a lot more technical to use. Many of you out there are not actually looking for those types of foils, which is why I would honestly say the Aztron do make a good, comfortable range of foils that are easy to use for the level that they're meant for. Yes, there's a few negatives with the fittings, but at the price point, that's something you're going to expect, and that's why there's a difference between a £2,000 foil to a £600 foil. I hope you found this review interesting and informative, helped you understand if the Aztron foils are the sort of foils you should be looking at. Any questions and comments, if you've used these foils, if you've got these foils, get them in the comments below. If you haven't watched the other videos when we looked at the board range or the wings, definitely check that out. We've got some more foil wing reviews coming out very soon, and we've got loads more SUP content coming your way as well. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on another SUPboarder video soon.